Forsaken. The atmosphere processing towers of Axiom 7 gleamed in the orange light of twin suns, structures of hope and defiance against a harsh alien world. Commander Sasha Reeves stood on the observation deck, her weathered face reflecting both pride and worry as she watched the colony's residents moving through the streets below. 10,000 humans had made this distant planet their home over the past 15 years, transforming barren plains into fertile farmland, erecting habitation domes, and establishing the furthest human outpost in the Cygnus Arm. And now, they were about to die. "Commander, the long-range sensors have confirmed it," Lieutenant Chen said, his voice tight as he handed her the data tablet. 37 Crescian warships have entered the system. Estimated arrival: 6 hours. Sasha's fingers tightened around the tablet's edge. "And the Alliance?" Chen's silence was answer enough, but protocol demanded he say it aloud. "The Galactic Alliance Council has declined our request for assistance. They cite the non-interference clause of the Crescian Border Agreement." Non-interference. Sasha spat the word like poison. "We've been a recognized colony for 12 years. We have Alliance citizenship. They're claiming our settlement violated Crescian territorial claims that predate our arrival, claims they apparently just remembered." Sasha turned back to the viewport, watching as children played in the community park, blissfully unaware that alien warships were bearing down on them. The Crescians were not known for taking prisoners or showing mercy. Their empire had been expanding for centuries, absorbing worlds and species with methodical precision. Humans were newcomers to the galactic stage, and the Crescian Empire viewed them as merely the latest species to be taught their place in the hierarchy. "Sound the evacuation alarm," she ordered. "How many ships can we get off-world?" Chen's expression fell further. 3 colony vessels are operational. Maximum capacity of 2,000 people. 10,000 colonists. 2,000 seats. Sasha closed her eyes briefly, her mind racing through impossible calculations of who would live and who would stay behind. "Begin loading children and essential personnel," she said finally, "and prepare our defense grid. If we're going down, we'll make the Crescians pay for every life they take." The command center buzzed with frantic activity as colony officials coordinated the evacuation and military personnel prepared the limited defense systems. Axiom 7 had been established as a peaceful scientific and agricultural colony. Its defenses consisted of a handful of outdated orbital platforms and a single squadron of atmospheric fighters, enough to deter pirates, but laughably inadequate against a Crescian battle fleet. "Message from Director Yamato," a communications officer called out. "He says the evacuation priority list is causing unrest. Families are refusing to be separated." Sasha rubbed her temples. Of course they were. How could she expect parents to send their children away while staying behind to die? "Tell him," she began, but was interrupted by an urgent alert from the long-range communications array. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from Earth." Earth? The homeworld rarely communicated directly with outer colonies, instead routing all official business through Alliance channels. Direct communication across such vast distances required enormous energy expenditure. "Put it through," Sasha ordered, straightening her uniform jacket. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the stern face of Admiral Helena Frost, Earth Defense Command. Her silver hair was pulled back in a tight bun, her eyes as cold and calculating as her name suggested. "Commander Reeves," she said without preamble, "we've been monitoring your situation. Help is on the way." Sasha blinked in confusion. "Admiral, with all due respect, Earth is 3 weeks away at maximum FTL. The Crescians will be here in hours." A ghost of a smile touched the Admiral's lips. "Not all of Earth's resources are publicly documented, Commander. Hold your position. Do not attempt evacuation. It will only make you vulnerable. Keep your people in the shelters." "Admiral, I don't understand." "You will." The transmission cut abruptly, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Lieutenant Chen was the first to speak. "Commander, what does this mean?" Should we halt the evacuation? Sasha stared at the blank screen, doubt warring with desperate hope. Continue preparations but delay launches. If the Admiral is right. She didn't finish the thought. False hope was more cruel than honest despair. 4 hours later, the first Crescian ships entered visual range. Massive, angular vessels with protruding weapon arrays and hulls that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. Their design was unmistakably predatory, evolved through centuries of conquest. "They're hailing us," the communications officer reported, her voice shaking slightly. Sasha nodded. On screen, the face that appeared was vaguely reptilian, with iridescent scales and vertically slitted pupils. High Commander Vextar of the Crescian Empire wore ceremonial battle armor that accentuated his already imposing frame. "Human colony," he began, his translated voice carrying the characteristic click-hiss of Crescian speech. "You have established an illegal settlement in sovereign Crescian territory. Your presence is a violation of imperial boundaries. You will surrender immediately and prepare for processing." Processing, a clinical term for what was essentially slavery, followed by eventual cultural absorption and extinction. "This is Commander Sasha Reeves of the Earth colony HFY. We settled this world under sanction from the Galactic Alliance, which recognized it as unclaimed territory. We have families here, children. We pose no threat to the Crescian Empire." Vextar's expression didn't change, if Crescians even had expressions humans could interpret. "The Alliance has acknowledged their error in judgment. They have withdrawn their protection. You have 1 hour to lower your defensive shields and prepare for our arrival." The transmission ended. "Cowards," Chen muttered. "The Alliance sold us out to keep peace with the Crescians." Sasha couldn't disagree. Earth and its colonies had joined the Galactic Alliance 50 years ago, naive and optimistic about their place in the cosmos. They had quickly learned that galactic politics was a game of power, not principles. The older species, those who controlled the Council, maintained their positions through carefully balanced alliances and strategic concessions. Apparently, HFY was one such concession. "Status of the evacuation ships?" she asked. "Fueled and ready to launch," Chen reported. "But if we try to run, the Crescian fleet will cut them to pieces before they can make the jump to FTL." Sasha paced the command center, acutely aware of every officer watching her, waiting for her to produce a miracle. Admiral Frost had told them to stay put. That help was coming. But how? What could Earth possibly do against 37 Crescian warships? "Alert status for all defense systems," she ordered finally. "Move all civilians to the deep shelters. If the Crescians want this colony, they'll have to fight for it." The hour passed with excruciating slowness. The Crescian fleet moved into position around HFY, a noose of warships tightening around the defenseless colony. Sasha had ordered their meager defenses to hold fire unless directly attacked, hoping against hope that Admiral Frost hadn't been lying. "Crescian ships are powering weapons," the tactical officer reported grimly. "They're targeting our shield generators." Sasha gripped the command console. This was it. "All personnel, brace for." "Commander," the sensor operator shouted, massive energy signatures appearing at the edge of the system. The tactical display lit up with new contacts, dozens of them, then hundreds, appearing out of nowhere, as if they had simply materialized from the void. "What in God's name?" Chen whispered. The new vessels were unlike anything Sasha had ever seen. Sleek, midnight black ships that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They had no visible engines, no conventional weapon ports, yet they moved with impossible speed and precision, forming a perfect attack formation as they approached the Crescian fleet. "We're being hailed," the communications officer reported, bewilderment in her voice. It's coming from the lead vessel. Earth Defense Command encryption." The screen flickered to life, revealing a command center far more advanced than anything Sasha had seen before. At its center stood Admiral Frost, now dressed in a uniform Sasha didn't recognize, black with silver trim, bearing an insignia of a stylized phoenix rising from Earth. "Commander Reeves," Frost said calmly, as if they were meeting for coffee rather than in the middle of an imminent battle. "The Phantom Fleet has arrived. Please keep your defensive systems passive to avoid targeting confusion." "The Phantom Fleet," Sasha echoed, staring at the tactical display where the black ships were rapidly closing with the Crescian vessels. "Admiral, I've never heard of." "Few have, Commander. That's rather the point. Now, please secure your people. This will be over quickly." The transmission ended just as the Crescian vessels began to react to the new threat, turning their massive weapons away from the colony and toward the approaching Earth ships. The Crescians fired first, a barrage of energy weapons that should have vaporized the leading edge of Earth's mysterious fleet. Instead, the black ships seemed to warp and shift, the energy passing through them as if they were merely holograms. "That's impossible," Chen muttered, staring at the sensor readings. They're phase-shifting somehow. The Crescian weapons are passing through dimensional variances." Before Sasha could process this, the Earth vessels responded. There was no visible weapon discharge, no energy beams or missile launches. Instead, 3 Crescian destroyers simply came apart, their hulls separating along molecular seams, critical systems exposed to space, atmospheres venting in crystalline plumes. "What are we seeing?" Sasha demanded. "What weapons are they using?" Nobody in the command center had an answer. The battle, if it could even be called that, continued with horrifying one-sidedness. Crescian vessels, the terror of a dozen star systems, were being systematically dismantled by weapons beyond comprehension. Some ships simply ceased to exist, vanishing as if they had never been there. Others were disabled with surgical precision, left drifting and powerless, but with life support intact. Within 15 minutes, half the Crescian fleet was destroyed or disabled. The remainder began desperate evasive maneuvers, attempting to reach jump distance for FTL escape. "They're running," Chen said, disbelief evident in his voice. "The Crescians are actually running." Sasha watched the tactical display, her mind struggling to comprehend what she was witnessing. Earth, long considered a minor power on the galactic stage, had just revealed technology far beyond anything the Alliance races possessed. Technology they had apparently been hiding for years, perhaps decades. "Commander," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving a direct transmission from High Commander Vextar's flagship." Sasha nodded, still dazed by the rapid turn of events. The Crescian commander's face appeared on screen, his composure shattered, scales flushed with the purple hue that indicated extreme distress in his species. "What are these demons you have summoned, human?" he hissed, the translation barely keeping up with his agitated speech. "What manner of abomination have you created?" Sasha met his gaze steadily, suppressing her own shock to present a confident front. "This is the consequence of threatening Earth and its people, High Commander. Perhaps reconsider your Empire's expansion plans." A distant explosion rocked Vextar's ship, and the transmission cut abruptly. On the tactical display, the remaining Crescian vessels were attempting to form a defensive perimeter, but it was like watching children trying to hold back the tide with sandcastles. "Commander Reeves," Admiral Frost's voice came through again. "The situation is now under control. You may stand down your defense systems entirely. A delegation will be arriving at your command center shortly to brief you on the changing strategic situation." As if on cue, a shimmer of energy appeared in the center of the command room, coalescing into 3 figures, 2 in the black and silver uniforms of the mysterious fleet, and Admiral Frost herself, somehow transported instantly across the vast distance from her ship to the colony. "Quantum entanglement translocation," she explained, noting Sasha's shocked expression. "One of many technologies we've kept to ourselves. Commander Reeves, I believe we have much to discuss about Earth's new role in galactic affairs and Axiom 7's place in what comes next." Reckoning. The conference room of Axiom 7's administration building had never felt so small. Commander Sasha Reeves sat at the head of the table, still processing the events of the past 12 hours. Across from her, Admiral Helena Frost projected an aura of absolute authority, flanked by two officers who had introduced themselves only as Captain Reed and Commander Ishida of the Phantom Fleet. I believe I speak for everyone on this colony when I ask, what the hell just happened? Sasha finally said, breaking the tense silence. Admiral Frost's lips curved in what might generously be called a smile. What happened, Commander, is that the galaxy's balance of power shifted irrevocably. The Crescian Empire just learned that their centuries of expansion have ended. The Galactic Alliance just discovered that their careful political maneuvering has a new variable they cannot control. And you, she leaned forward slightly, you and your colonists just became the most important human settlement outside of Sol system. Because we were attacked. Because you were abandoned, Captain Reed interjected, his voice surprisingly gentle compared to Frost's clipped tones. And because that abandonment has now been witnessed by every major power in this sector. Sasha glanced between the three Earth officers, trying to make sense of their cryptic statements. I don't understand. The Alliance betrayed us, yes, but how does that make us important? Admiral Frost activated a holographic display that materialized above the conference table, showing a three-dimensional map of known space, with political boundaries clearly marked. Earth and its handful of colony worlds were highlighted in blue, tiny islands in the vast ocean of other civilizations. 70 years ago, when we first achieved faster-than-light travel and encountered the Galactic Alliance, humanity was ecstatic. Frost began. We weren't alone in the universe. Moreover, we had found a community of civilizations that appeared to welcome us, to offer protection and guidance as we took our first steps into the cosmic community. The display shifted, zooming in on Earth. What the public doesn't know, what only a select few in Earth's government were told, is that our acceptance into the Alliance was never about welcoming humanity. It was about containing us. Containing? Sasha echoed. Commander Ishida spoke for the first time, her accent suggesting she had grown up in one of the lunar colonies. Humanity terrified them, Commander. Our rate of technological advancement, our adaptability, our seemingly innate drive to expand and explore, these traits made the established powers nervous. Very nervous. The Alliance membership came with countless restrictions, Frost continued. Limitations on colony expansion. Technology transfer protocols that looked generous on the surface, but actually stunted our development. Trade agreements that kept us dependent on Alliance supply chains. The hologram shifted again, showing Earth surrounded by a subtle network of satellites. 54 years ago, a covert Earth intelligence operation discovered monitoring devices in our solar system. Further investigation revealed a disturbing truth. The Alliance had been actively suppressing human development, even while smiling diplomatically. Sasha felt cold anger building in her chest. You're saying they've been hobbling us all this time? Precisely. Frost nodded. And when we discovered this, Earth's leadership faced a critical decision. Confront the Alliance openly, or pretend you didn't know. Sasha finished, the pieces falling into place. Play along while secretly developing your own technology. The Phantom Initiative, Captain Reed confirmed. Earth's greatest secret. For over 50 years, we've maintained the facade of being a minor, compliant member of the Alliance, while channeling massive resources into hidden development programs. The ships you saw today represent just one aspect of those efforts. A holographic display changed again, showing one of the black vessels that had so effortlessly dismantled the Crescian fleet. The Nemesis-class interdiction vessel, Frost said with unmistakable pride. Equipped with phase-shift technology that allows it to partially exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. Graviton disassemblers that can selectively target molecular bonds. Quantum entanglement drives that don't require conventional FTL mechanics. And you've had these for how long? Sasha asked, trying to keep her voice steady. The first operational vessel was completed 22 years ago, Commander Ishida replied. We currently maintain a fleet of 500 Nemesis-class ships and various support vessels, all constructed in automated facilities hidden within dimensional pockets around the Sol system. Sasha stood abruptly, pacing to the viewport that overlooked the colony. Night had fallen, and the lights of Axiom 7 glowed against the darkness, thousands of people going about their lives, unaware that they had just become pawns in a galactic power play. "Why now?" she asked without turning around. "Why reveal yourselves to save us? We're just one colony." She heard Admiral Frost stand and approach, coming to stand beside her at the viewport. "For 2 reasons, Commander. First, because we needed a stage. The Crescian attack on a human colony that had been explicitly abandoned by the Alliance created the perfect moral justification for our unveiling. Second, and more importantly," Frost turned to face Sasha directly, "because of you." "Me?" "Your defense of this colony, your refusal to abandon your people even when facing certain defeat, it was precisely the display of human resilience and integrity we needed." The entire incident was broadcast across Alliance communication channels. Every major species saw both the Alliance's betrayal and humanity's strength. Sasha's mind reeled at the implication. "You're saying you could have stopped this earlier, before the Crescians even arrived?" Captain Reed stepped forward. "We could have, yes, but a preemptive action would have cast us as aggressors. The political calculus required that we wait until the Alliance's abandonment was clear and the Crescian threat was undeniable. People could have died." Sasha felt her professional composure slipping, anger rising to the surface. "We would never have allowed that," Commander Ishida interjected softly. "If the Crescians had begun orbital bombardment, we would have intervened immediately. We had multiple contingencies in place. Every life on this colony was accounted for." Sasha took a deep breath, trying to process everything. "So what happens now? Earth reveals its secret fleet and what? Declares war on the Alliance." Admiral Frost shook her head. "Nothing so dramatic. We're announcing our independence from Alliance restrictions, effective immediately. Earth and all human colonies are now declared sovereign territory under the protection of the Earth Defense Command. We're establishing new terms for interaction with other species, terms that recognize our rightful place as equals, not subordinates. And if they don't agree?" Frost's expression hardened. "They witnessed what happened to the Crescian fleet. They'll agree." Sasha turned back to the viewport, looking out at her colony, her people, who had gone from abandoned victims to the vanguard of humanity's emergence as a galactic power, all in the span of a day. "What about Axiom 7? What happens to us?" "That depends largely on you, Commander," Frost replied. "This colony now stands at a critical strategic position, the first human outpost to be openly defended by the Phantom Fleet. We'd like you to continue leading it, but with expanded resources and a new mission, to serve as Earth's diplomatic and military forward base in this sector." A ping from Captain Reed's communication device interrupted them. He checked it and looked up, his expression serious. "The Galactic Alliance Council has called an emergency session. They're demanding an explanation for the unprovoked attack on Crescian vessels in disputed territory." Admiral Frost's smile was cold. Disputed territory. How quickly they change their terminology when the balance of power shifts. She turned back to Sasha. "This is where the real work begins, Commander. The galaxy believed they had humanity contained, a young species to be guided and controlled. Today they learned otherwise." "And what exactly did they learn?" Sasha asked. "That humanity has never been what they thought we were," Frost replied. "We played the role of the compliant newcomer while preparing for exactly this moment. We let them believe we accepted their limitations while secretly surpassing every technological boundary they established. We smiled at their diplomatic table while building the means to rewrite the rules of engagement." She gestured to the viewport, beyond which the stars gleamed in the darkness. Somewhere out there, the remains of the Crescian fleet limped home, carrying word of their defeat. Alliance representatives were gathering in panic, trying to understand what had happened and what it meant for the careful balance they had maintained for centuries. They turned their backs on us today, Commander Reeves. They abandoned your people to slaughter because it was politically expedient, and in doing so, they gave us the perfect opportunity to reveal what humanity truly is. And what are we? Sasha asked quietly. Commander Ishida answered, her voice filled with quiet certainty. The species they should have feared all along. 3 days later, Sasha stood on the newly constructed landing platform as a delegation from the Galactic Alliance arrived. 5 representatives from the dominant Council species disembarked, their body language, even across species differences, clearly conveying their discomfort. Behind them, hovering in low orbit, 2 of the Phantom Fleet's black ships maintained silent vigil. Commander Reeves, the lead delegate, an elderly Tellurian with silvery skin, greeted her stiffly. The Council welcomes the opportunity to discuss recent misunderstandings regarding the status of Axiom 7 colony. Misunderstandings, such a diplomatic way to describe their complete abandonment of 10,000 humans. Sasha met his gaze evenly, allowing the silence to stretch just long enough to be uncomfortable. The Earth's sovereign territory welcomes the Alliance delegation, she finally replied, using the new terminology that Earth's government had announced across all channels the previous day. We look forward to establishing new parameters for our continued relationship with the Alliance races. The Tellurian's silver skin rippled slightly, a sign of agitation in his species. New parameters, he repeated carefully. Yes, the Council is certainly open to revisiting certain aspects of our agreements. Sasha gestured toward the administration building where Admiral Frost waited. Excellent. Then let's not waste time. Earth has prepared a comprehensive proposal regarding technological exchange, territorial rights, and military cooperation moving forward. As she led the delegation across the colony square, Sasha noticed how the citizens of Axiom 7 watched the proceedings with newfound confidence. Children who days ago had faced extinction now played freely in the shadow of Earth's most advanced warships. Farmers and scientists who had believed themselves abandoned by their homeworld now stood tall, knowing that humanity had emerged from the shadows, ready to claim its place among the stars. A word of advice, Sasha said quietly to the Tellurian delegate as they approached the building. When Admiral Frost presents Earth's terms, I suggest you listen carefully. The galaxy turned its back on us once. It won't have the opportunity to do so again. Above them, the black ships of the Phantom Fleet shifted position slightly, their hulls seeming to absorb the light of Axiom 7's twin suns, a silent reminder that humanity's days of playing the humble newcomer were over. The galaxy had abandoned them to their fate, never suspecting that in doing so, they had unleashed something far more terrifying than they had ever imagined. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, not as the student, but as the force that would reshape it forever.